Hey, good evening, everyone. We're live on Green Beret Life. As you can see, I've been abandoned by my partner in crime. Matt is not on today, and he might or might not be back next week. I'm not sure. He's got some stuff going on he's taking care of, and I knew he was going to be out of town, um, and not available for the show this evening. And next Tuesday, there's a possibility he'll be back, but we're not gonna bet good money on it. Um, Hope everyone enjoyed the show last week with the congressional candidate Gregorio. He was seemed like a really great guy. It was really refreshing to ask someone, in the political realm a question and get a thoughtful and straightforward answer. I really enjoyed that. It was good. It was a little nervous, a little different from what we normally do. We Matt and I normally just hop on here and talk to each other and you guys about random things we find on the internet to complain about. But that was interesting. That was a good time. Matt and I both enjoyed it, and I believe I believe Gregorio did as well. Um, yeah, so got several things to talk about. The focus is moving right now from Minneapolis to New York. There's some stuff going on there that we want to talk about, and it pretty much boils down to the be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. And New Yorkers are reaching the find out stage of the FAFO procedure. They're reaching the end stage, or the beginning of the end stage of find out. We're going to talk about what's going on there and the fact that New York, they are getting the government they voted for. So there's no one to blame on that but themselves. And it's if it weren't if it were not New York City, if it did not have the just the potential to wreak as much havoc as it would be humorous. But this stuff's getting out of hand. It's getting out of control. What's going on? It's getting out of control. What's being allowed to go on? And we're gonna talk about that. Um, we've got concealed carry permits applications ramping up after they did the same thing during COVID when the left wanted to put their boot on everybody's neck with their forced forced jabs, and you can't go anywhere and you can't do anything. Um, CCW permits were and gun sales were on the rise. Also during the Summer of Love riots with George Floyd, people are realizing that when seconds count, the police are minutes away, and that's not necessarily a dig on the police. It's just physics. They can't be everywhere. I mean, even New York City that has, more police officers than some nations do in their standing army can't be everywhere at one time. And it's people have realized that, no one's responsible for you but yourself. And the Supreme Court has come out and ruled that the police have no duty to protect the individual. They're there I guess, for lack of a better term, keep society civil, not the individual, society as a whole, I guess is the best way to phrase it. Give me just one second. But that it is happening. But we have concealed carry permits are going up, the gun sales are going up, and people are realizing that they are their own first responder. There's nobody going to be at the scene of the crime quicker than the potential victim. So they are taking that to heart. It looks like people are realizing that, and that's a good thing. Um, the more people that realize that the government can't do everything for them, and that you're responsible for doing things for yourself, That's, one more step to them being, on the conservative side. One of the other stories we have is, I'm not sure. There may be a phrase some of you guys may be familiar with it, some of you may not. It's called jury nullification, and it's basically where someone does whatever they can. They go through the process of, most people whenever they get their jury summons, they're like, "Oh crap, got to go through the process. Hopefully, I get kicked off so I can, get back in time to go to my kid's softball game." Well, someone that is interested in jury nullification, their intention is to get picked for the jury and to then basically gum up the process and prevent a guilty verdict from being um, handed down because they don't agree with the reason that a prosecution was brought. They don't agree with the for whatever reason, they don't agree with it. So that is their intention. Well, they're going around right now, and anti-ICE groups are promoting trainings for people to attend in order to promote jury nullification when it comes to all of these people that are being actually arrested and some of them potentially charged for their actions in Minnesota with the interference with the ICE officers, with the attacks on ICE officers. They're literally setting up training programs to teach people how to go in and subvert the legal process, and they have their interesting little ways to weasel around it of, oh, it's a way to resist tyranny, and it's the way that the people look out for each other, and they're making themselves, I guess, for lack of a better term, quote unquote revolutionaries, and we all know that they're nothing but professional shit stirrers, but they're heroes in their own mind. Um, so that's what they're doing. That's what's going on with that. We're going to talk about that and kind of what they're looking at, how they're trying to do it, and it's the process can be effective, but I think this is really going to be more of a just look at us trying to do something. Another activist group, doing their look what we're doing to fight the power. But one of Matt's favorite people, Chuck Schumer, and I mean, for I guess really everybody's, he's real stand up guy. Um, he is basically pushing legislation to make the LGBTQ flag equivalent to the or to give it the same federal protections as the U.S. flag, military flags, and POW MIA flags. So we're going to talk about that, and coming up. And the last story we have is, and it kind of flows in because I was reading the story, and I was like, one of the phrases the person had in their statement, I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't track right. Let me look up something. So basically, in Maryland, there was in a Maryland high school, one of the student clubs was an affiliate of Turning Point USA, and they were holding a meeting, and this local activist admitted during a public school board meeting that they reported the Turning Point chapter to Child Protective Services. And for those of you that don't know, you get Child Protective Services involved in your business, you're hating life, right, wrong, or indifferent. It's they have a process that they have to go through, and it is almost a proving yourself innocent. When it comes to the way some of these uh, CPS departments operate in certain states. But that's the last story we're going to look at. Like I said, it kind of flows over to something else I had looked up, because when we get to it, you'll understand what I'm talking about in the statement. But I guess we'll start out with the big one, with it being New York because it really runs into a couple of stories tie in. I've got like three stories that tie in, all having to do with New York, and it's starting out. Let me get my share screen set up here. I didn't have that ready to go. My apologies. But it starts out here, Islamic prayer, Islamic call to prayer being loudly broadcast on New York City streets. So in 23 years, we go from 9/11 and Islamic terrorists taking down the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the flight that was taken down in Pennsylvania, and 20 years of conflict with these terrorists to broadcasting the Muslim call to prayer through New York City streets. It's it's a lot. But like I said, New York is getting the government they deserve. They're getting, this is who they voted for. This is what they voted for. And it amazes me the ignorance of the electorate when now you read the comments and they're stunned. They're shocked. Well, I just can't understand. I just don't know why. And it's like right here, just weeks ago, New York City residents, including large populations of immigrants, right here, including large populations of immigrants, elected a Muslim, Zohran Mamdani, as the city's new mayor. He immediately praised his own religion as the one true faith, and now they're being broadcast in the city streets in multiple locations, the Islamic call to prayer up to 5 times a day. Then this was what I was talking about. First, the horrors of 9/11. Now the call to prayer echoing across New York City streets 5 times a day. This isn't assimilation, it's domination. Complaints fall on deaf ears while our cities change forever. New York has been conquered. And I really have a hard time disagreeing. It's there was one of the others I was looking for. I can't find the statement I was looking for. But yeah, so this is what's going on. This is what they're looking at doing. This is what's happening, and people are just amazed that it's going on. It's residents in this area of Manhattan are completely shocked to hear an Islamic call to prayer blasting on high volume speakers as they walk down the street. Never thought in my life I'd hear this in the middle of New York. You get what you vote for. And this is who you voted for. This is what you asked for. You're getting it, and now you can't understand it. It's been said before. Elections have consequences. All right, it looks like we've got Troy. I asked Troy if he would be able to join us because Matt was off. I figured it'd be nice to have. Well, looks like he'd lost his connection. He may join back up in a minute. So we're going to try and get Troy to join us. He's joined us. He joined Matt and I for a show a little while back, and with Matt being out, and I was sitting here getting the show set up. I'm like, you know what? Be an opportunity to bring Troy back on just to have somebody to bounce things off, so you guys don't have to listen to me drone on and on about this for the hour. It's always better when you have a little back and forth with another individual. But we go from this to large populations of immigrants voting to elect Zohran Mamdani as the new mayor, and we come right into Mamdani's plans for New York City to tax homeowners to fund the social agenda if, basically threatening the state if Hochul doesn't fork over more cash. Faced with no other choice, the city would have to exercise the only revenue lever fully within our control. We would have to raise property taxes. In order to raise enough tax revenue to fill the gap in New York City's budget, New York Governor Kathy Hochul would have to allow him to raise taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers and corporations, or that tax burden will be passed on to property taxes. which would increase the cost for everyday New Yorkers. The funding would primarily go to social services, as Mamdani presented on Tuesday. Now, all of these social services, would any of these large populations of immigrants be involved in receiving those social services? I hazard a guess as of that it would be yes. If we do not fix the structural imbalance and do not heed the calls of New Yorkers to raise taxes on the wealthy, and they define the wealthy, I think it has it in here. I want to say it's $1 million. Oh, yeah. Mamdani said that Hochul and Albany, being the capital of New York, should raise income taxes on those earning over $1 million a year and the most profitable corporations. Now, the thing is, the people making $1 million a year, they've got the ability to, they're a whole lot more mobile than, somebody that's scraping by. And this is what he's looking to do. He's basically threatening the governor that if you don't raise taxes, then I'm going to turn around and blame it on you. Is what's happening. All right, I think we got Troy ready to come in over here. Let me get him up on stage here. Hey, Troy, can you hear me?
I can, and hello, good sir.
How are you? I apologize for the late notice. I was setting the show up, and I said, you know what? Troy would be great to come on with Matt being out of pocket, can come on and run some of these stories by you and get your feedback in real time.
I'm not going to be as smart or fiery as Matt is, but I will try. I was actually laying in bed, so excuse the bedhead.
I didn't. You didn't have time to get your face on for prime time, did you?
I just grabbed a beer and said, "We'll talk. We can do that."
Hey, that'll work. That'll be great, man. We were just talking about
New York. Oh, I was listening to you. It's like, does honestly anybody think that New York is really voting for that? Do people want to be govern me harder, daddy? Take my money, daddy?
When you look at New York, when you look at California, you have to really wonder if some of these people are just let's see. No, a sadist is the one that enjoys inflicting the pain. What do they call the ones that enjoy receiving it? A bottom? I mean, I don't know. It's just
it's so
they
hard
seem to thrive on it.
Yeah, it's so hard to watch because this can't be real. I mean, I want my life to be super duper simple. I don't want every day all of a sudden, oh, now they want more money. Oh, they're less rights. I don't know. It boggles me.
Well, I'm sure there are a lot of people in the next month or so are going to be, because everybody should have gotten everything they needed to file their taxes by now. I'm sure there are people talking to their accountants, looking at their TurboTax, and it's just the amount that you're paying in taxes and those are just really the visible taxes. Look at all the invisible taxes you pay in your sales tax, your fuel tax, your property tax, your all the fees and addendums like we were talking about on various bills that you get. When you look at just what you're paying the federal government and the state government, it's probably 20-25%. You go adding in all the others, you're probably pushing 35-40%, if not more.
And now California wants to add a mileage tax per person.
They were talking about doing that. They want everybody to buy electric cars to save the environment. And then because, guess what? Electric cars don't use fuel, so you're not getting that fuel tax. Well, now we're going to tax you by the mile that you drive. And I guess combustion engines will be double taxed.
And doesn't California have rolling blackouts as it is? Where's that electricity coming from?
Well, I was wondering that whenever they were talking about, they were going to be like you weren't going to be able to sell an internal combustion engine in California after 2030 or something like that. And I was like, they can't even keep the lights on for, freaking stoves and microwaves. How are they? How's their grid going to handle electric cars for everybody?
Have to send the kids outside, rub a balloon against the car, try and get some static charge.
You know, it probably wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, hamster wheel.
Yeah, put the kids on hamster wheel, get your exercise.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know what?
Maybe that's a good way to get kids fit today, because they are getting quite large.
That, you know what? That's true, but I think when you do it against their will, it's frowned upon.
You and I didn't want to go to grade school. We had to.
That's true. I did have to do a lot of things I didn't want to do as a kid.
Yeah, having a job. Who really wants to have a job?
Well, somebody's got to pay for those that don't work. I mean, might as well be you and I.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
But the other story we have here is again out of New York. There's a pro-Palestinian activist demands ban of pet dogs in New York City over Islam, and then claims it's a joke. Now, she comes out. This is a post she did on X. Finally, New York City is coming to Islam. Let's look back at the call to prayer. Let's look back to all that. So she's not wrong. She says, dogs definitely have a place in society, just not as indoor pets. Like we've said all along, they're unclean. And then she goes on to say, it's obviously a joke. I don't care if you have a dog. I do care if your dog is shitting everywhere and you're not cleaning it. Now, my question is, she just says,
as opposed to all the trash that we humans make.
Yeah.
Dog
right here, well, she says, not as indoor pets. Well, if they're not indoor pets, that means they're outside. Yeah. And if they're outside unregulated, they're going to be shitting everywhere. So I'm missing what her goal was with this.
And there's got to be, 2 million plus dogs in New York? You put 2 million dogs out. You put 2 million dogs outside, you'd be able to hear that from the moon. And the smell of the dog shit, I would hate to be anywhere near New York. That place has got
it smells more like shit than it does on any other Tuesday.
Yeah, maybe it would cancel out.
I don't think that's the way poop smells work. But
you can hope. Hey, if they can have their hopes, I can have mine.
You know
Rub
what?
Two turds together and it makes lilac.
I'm not the kind of person to take away a man's dreams. You hold on to that, Troy. You hold on to that.
I'm gonna work on that one. I'll get back to you.
It's just the point of me bringing this up isn't so much that, oh my God, they're going to take away the dogs. It's the fact of how emboldened these people have become to force their beliefs on the population.
Oh, can you imagine a Christian ringing church bells in an Islamic country on Sunday morning as opposed to their call to prayer here? Oh, you'd only do it once.
Their call to prayer 5 times a day, every day.
You would only do it once.
That is true.
That'd be the end of you.
Yep. That is, and you're right. It's to the point they are using our freedoms against us, and our politicians will not do what is required to protect the citizens and the country. They allow it to happen because the last thing they want is to be called an ist or a phobe or anything of the like, because they want to be adored by these liberal enclaves so badly they're incapable of doing their job and what they're elected and sent to Washington, D.C. to do.
Protecting an ideal. People be damned. You're just protecting an idea, which is crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's but I can see this type of stuff continuing. And like I said, Mamdani's basically kind of not threatening the governor of New York by saying, well, if you don't let me do this, again, New York's the most populated city in New York State.
Yes.
You know, and he's telling the governor, if you don't give me the ability to do what I want to do, then I'm going to raise taxes on everybody in the city and tell them it's your fault, meaning you won't get reelected.
Did you see the recent video with Mamdani with the mental health patient?
No,
Family called for a wellness to take their loved one away to a mental health facility.
Right.
Cops show up. Guy greets the cops with a 12-inch knife. The cops retreat. Guy follows the cops to the door. Guy comes through the door. Cop shoots him 4 times. Mamdani is mad that the cop shot him and demand that he be released because of the undue burden this is bringing upon his family. And you're just, dude.
But they want to take they want to take and replace police officers with social workers. So you would have a dead middle-aged woman on the street right now who just got stabbed in the face 47 times.
Yeah. Send the social workers in to take the bullets first. Social worker comes up. Yes, he does have a knife.
It's a tough thing. I mean, I guess, you know, other people's disabilities, and I'm probably going to go to hell for saying this, but you know, it's not up to society to conform to the one deranged individual. You know, if whatever your issue is that you're having, when you approach someone aggressively with a lethal weapon, it's not my responsibility to know what you're thinking of, what your childhood was like. If you got enough hugs by your mother, my responsibility is to defend myself from your potentially lethal, aggressive, you know, approach.
Absolutely, but amen.
They want to play that, and they did the same thing with the ICE agent that Renee Good tried to run over. That entire thing, from the time she put her car in reverse to back up and then put it in drive, went forward and was shot, was probably about 4 seconds. Yeah. 4 to 5 seconds from the time. I don't even include the time she put it in reverse, because at that point the officer thought she was backing up. From the time she put it in drive and then hit the officer was probably a second and a half.
Yeah, it's small.
And 2 seconds at the top. But they wanted to take and frame by frame analyze, well, the direction of the wheels were this and that and the third. All the officer knew was he could see her, she was looking at him, and the car was coming at him. He can't see the tires that are under the freaking car. But anything they can do.
Every officer who's had to discharge his weapon wishes he could stop time and go through frame by frame. Do I have to do this? But that's not how reality works.
Yeah.
We can all come back afterwards and watch frame by frame, like the Zapruder film. And, oh, see? Right there, right? That fucker there.
Yeah. Because they were like, look, in the instant he shot, her tires were turning. Okay. That's in the instant he shot. There's no reaction time. It's just the people are upset. And I really think the ones that are so adamant about the video, they know that they're full of shit. If they don't, I don't know how they make it through the day without stepping out in front of a bus or just suffocating because they forget how to breathe. You
do also see videos of untrained morons flying through the air after the bus hits them.
Yeah, but you know what? You're right. And some of these people probably should be on those videos, because it's like, you know this, and if you don't, you've never you've never been startled. You know, when you're walking through the house and you come around the corner and there's somebody and you whoa, you back. It takes a second for things to process, for your brain to catch up, and it's so frustrating whenever you see people on social media, with the video slowed down to like, 0.03 speed, where you're literally seeing frame by frame by frame. Like, look, at this point, she was clearly, her intent was, and it all happened within a second and a half. There was the old a split second decision, which is then Monday morning quarterback for a week and a half of frame by frame, analyzing. And we know, being informed people, none of that really matters when it comes. Well, I guess it depends on what jurisdiction you're in. None of that really matters, because it comes down to the state of mind of the officer or the individual, if it were you or I, and our reasonable belief. You can't take a video and parse it out frame by frame and take a second and a half instant, stretch it across, a minute and a half of video and say, well, why didn't you this? Why didn't you that? Why didn't you the third thing? Because at that time, in that second and a half, my reasonable belief was that this is what was going to happen. And there's nothing in that video when you play it at normal speed that contradicts that.
Yeah, the blink of an eye on the video. But now you mix law enforcement with a sector of the population who's never been told no in their life. Yeah. And it gets ugly fast.
And you're right. You do have, because I keep forgetting how old I am until I have my birthday every year. But you do have an entire generation now that is hitting their mid-20s that has never been told no, that has had every obstacle removed.
Oh, those little sweetie. And yeah, they get out in the real world and shit ain't like that. You can't stand in a Waffle House and just demand free stuff.
Well, I don't know, a Waffle House, you might get your ass kicked. That's like 2025 Thunderdome is the Waffle House.
Oh, people who are mad when McDonald's had stopped having breakfast at 10:30. It's like, well, your mom ain't going to get up at noon to make you pancakes. Why the hell should McDonald's?
Yeah, but you're right. And I didn't think about that. I guess I did, but I never put it together. But yeah, the people that are reaching their early to mid-20s right now have really never been told no. It's always been someone else's fault. Someone else was the problem. It was never them. It was always somebody else. Their teachers, their, whoever just didn't like them. That's why. It wasn't the fact that you didn't bother to do the work. It was just that, you shouldn't have had to do the work because of whatever, you had an IEP or something that just ridiculous. And they're getting into the real world. And going back to that video of Renee Good, there was one of the videos you could literally hear, I guess, her partner or whatever going, I can't believe, something effective, I can't believe you used real bullets.
Yeah.
And it's like, they really believe they really believe there are no consequences.
It's real life, honey. Sorry to tell it to you that way. Cops don't just shoot you in the leg.
Yeah. But speaking of, we do have, like I said, a good something good coming out of this, with concealed carry applications being on the rise, and down here in the subtext here, gun sales up by 30% or more, and a report from CBS confirmed that in January 2025, there were 4,700 requests for concealed carry permits, but in January, that ramped up to over 8,000. So it almost doubled, not quite, but almost. Gun shops reported holding many times as many classes, and the experts there warn new gun owners, like we say all the time, practice, 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 so they would be competent in using a firearm should the need arise. At Breitbart, a report said the jump in gun ownership interest showed the largest year-over-year leap since the pandemic. The data, as well as interviews with gun store owners and gun safety instructors, indicate the increase is largely being driven by first-time buyers. And that was what I was saying in the opening, is that's giving us, more people on our side that are realizing, as I said, you are your own first responder. There's nobody getting to the scene of the crime quicker than the victim.
You hope these people are on our side. Is this the Kool-Aid hairs and the nose ring crowd arming up?
Well,
I don't know if they
that is true,
because they're all mentally ill.
That is a valid concern. I would, and two, you had the other guy, Preddy, up there, antagonizing and attacking law enforcement while he was armed. I guess I don't know. It's like, I've always tried to live my life by, only break one law at a time. Yeah. Don't be going for the overachiever. If you're gonna do one thing, don't do three.
Yeah, you don't want to be front page of the newspaper.
No, at least page.
Just in the little police blog in the paper.
Yeah, like page 5 below the fold or something.
Yeah, when the nightly news has to stop and say your name, that's not good.
No, that's not somewhere that you want to be. Not at all. But I'm choosing to look at this as a glass half full, although that's not my normal outlook on life. I really think this will hopefully get people over to our point of view and understanding that, you are your own, first responder. And as I said in the opening, nothing against the police. I mean, I'm in a very rural area. If I call sheriff's department, because there's no police where I am, it's the sheriff's department. Sheriff's department has the whole county. If I call somebody, I might get somebody here within 20 minutes.
Oh, same here. I'm on the very corner of my county, and we only have county officers here, so it could be a long wait.
Yeah, I've got a town north of me about 20 minutes that has a police force in town, and I've got another one west of me about 15 miles that has a department. So, even if one of them sent somebody, I'm looking at minimum 15 minutes for somebody to get here. There's a whole lot that can go tits up in 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah. When you have seconds to react and minutes to wait, that may not be good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But
I hope
this is
even if a bunch of these new gun owners are for the other side, it's like, hey, well, welcome to the Second Amendment, man. This is what it's here for. Come join the club.
All we can do is hope that they won't. They'll still be there whenever they want to. Try and take the guns away. They'll fight against it. Take whatever help we can get.
And maybe a little freedom will knock a brain cell loose in them, and maybe they'll come to their senses a little bit.
Have you seen? And it's off topic a bit. Have you seen the video of the kid looks like he was in high school that had a sign or a shirt or something that said, "I support ICE." And then another kid in school on camera just punched the shit out of him.
I did not see that video.
And the guy's like, I support ICE, and the other kid just hauls back and knocks and just punches the shit out of him. But my point in making that and bringing that up is you have all the leftists celebrating the kid that punched the other one. It's like, so you're celebrating someone that physically assaults another person that expresses a belief you disagree with. And that is the left in a nutshell. I mean, they were making memes of this kid and everything else, but it's like it puts it to just a fine focused point of
don't try to inject common sense into their side. It ain't there.
But it's like it boils it all down to a single point of, you said something I don't agree with, I'm going to attack you and be celebrated for it.
With impunity, depending on what side you're on.
Now, but again, imagine if there was the kid walking around going, I support illegal immigration, and some other kid knocked him out.
Or that kid would never go to that, probably never be in school again.
He'd have to be homeschooled. He wouldn't even be allowed in college. He'd have to be homeschooled through college. I don't know if you can do that. Maybe you can. But
he'd be the first.
Yeah, but it's just it amazes me just the cognitive dissonance that they have of the rights, the violence, the right-wing violence. But we're going to celebrate this high school kid that punched the shit out of somebody that said something he disagreed with. It's like, wait, no, those two things don't go together. You can't have both.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when they're screaming bash the fash, and they're the ones being the jackboot people.
Well, and that's it, and that's what they do, and we've talked about it before with the Tweedledee Tweedledum. You know, you remember as a kid, you know, you and your buddy be somewhere. One of you would say shh, the other one would say it. So it comes out as saying shit. And it's like, well, I didn't say a bad word. That's what they're doing when it's like, oh, punch a Nazi. Well, you know, if you know, Jimmy's saying punch a Nazi and Joe's saying Lynn's a Nazi, well, together they're saying, hey, you should attack Lynn because of reasons. And that's what they're doing by taking and putting names and being derogatory to the people they disagree with. It's basically what they're doing is dehumanizing that. They're not making that person an individual. They're making them an it.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a person. That's a fascist. That's not a person. That's a racist. That's not a person. That's a transphobe. You're not a person. You're an it. And we can attack an it. And that's what happens. And it's right down into the school. And it's happening.
Oh yeah.
And let's see. Yeah, I want to get I've got a couple more stories, but there's one I really want to get to. But this jury nullification here. And like I said, this is something, it's not technically illegal. It is a process, but the way they're going about it is towing the line.
Yeah.
Jury nullification is illegal. This is from their flyer. Jury nullification is a legal tactic that has been used to protect one another from unjust laws. Okay? Having charges against you for assaulting a police officer is not an unjust law. An unjust law is in political persecution. You're not being persecuted because you vote the wrong way. You're being persecuted because you punched a police officer. We will learn about jury nullification or the people's pardon and how it's been used in ways that can stem authoritarian overreach. Nope, you punched a cop. No. And how we can use it today. So it gets down here. It highlights the 4 steps for undertaking jury nullification, including responding to a summons, getting picked for the jury, deliberating with conscience, and don't get removed. On the subject of getting picked for the jury, the training states, in short, you can legally nullify once on a jury, but you can't say that's your plan or you'll likely be removed before the trial begins. It also discusses ways to not get removed from the jury for attempting nullification including not openly saying you plan to ignore the law or instructions. So they're telling them to hide your motivations, go in there with the intent to disrupt the legal process, and because you don't agree, and not, this isn't political persecution. This is not Jesus words, overreach. This is people saying, we don't, again, I've never been told no. We don't want consequences for our actions.
Oh yeah, none of this is shocking or stunning.
It's really not. It really isn't. And I will say one thing. The left, and especially in Minnesota, I mean, there were stories about how they had, just an entire network in operation, tracking ICE vehicles, databases, people calling in from rental car agencies, giving tag numbers. I mean, they have a network, and it is funded. People can't do this on their own.
Yeah, and all we see is a bunch of middle-aged white women out there with picket signs, but this goes way deeper than them. There is a very violent and dark underbelly to the middle-aged white women with their don't deport my gardener signs walking around Minneapolis. There is legitimate potential danger in this. Then the left has shown they can be scarily coordinated with this and what they've done. I mean, we joke about it all the time and make light of it, but this is not a joke. It is scary. Oh, I wish I could insert 10-minute Matt rant right now, because I know he would have a good one on this.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it is that with what had come to light with, I mean, hell, there was one, and it kind of happened and then passed. I think it might have even been we were going to bring it up on the show when we had we had Gregorio on last week. They were setting up roadblocks and checking people's IDs to see if they belonged in the area.
Yeah.
And, they literally came up, they stopped one person like, you came up on our database as this. We just want to check and make sure. That's freaking scary.
For people who are against fascism, that sure sounds like something that happened in Germany back in the 40s.
You're right. For people that are against fascism, they sure are quick to the show me your papers, aren't they?
Oh,
and for people that are against borders, they are sure real quick to see if you belong somewhere, aren't they? Where's your papers to show you belong here? And the irony of it completely eludes them.
Yeah. They make their trash can border. Thou shalt not cross.
Yeah, it's like Somalia again was setting the tires on fire. Ilhan Omar will be right at home. But let's see. All right, we've got time for our next two. We've got 12 minutes before we hit time, and we can run over for the last one. We've got Chuck Schumer, who I believe is absolutely desperate to fight off a Senate challenge by probably AOC. But he's introducing legislation to make the LGBTQ pride flag a congressionally authorized symbol, giving it the same federal protections as the U.S. flag, military flags, and POW MIA flags. Now, my question is, if that happens and you burn an LGBTQ flag, well, that's a hate crime. So now if you burn a U.S. flag, is that a hate crime too? Or you're telling me the LGBTQ flag has more protections when it comes to free speech than the flag of our nation?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
And what door does this open? You know, the door this opens up. Now every group is going to want a flag recognized by the government. Are they going to recognize the rebel flag for the good old boys down south?
Oh, can't do that. Can't do that.
Oh, but they're an oppressed group. Come on, man.
Now, the flag was removed from a national parks site following an internal memo from the Department of Interior ordering non-agency flags at national parks to be removed. Okay, you don't get to just go to work and run whatever flag you want up the flagpole.
No.
Which is what was going on. Oh, I like this flag because I agree with this political message. I'm going to run it up the flagpole. Like you said, what if somebody took the stars and bars from the Confederate? I agree with this. It's a political statement, just like yours is. You might agree with it, you might not, but it's my political view. Why do you get to do yours, but I don't get to do mine? So they said, no, only agency flags, only the U.S. flags, flag of the Department of Interior, and the POW MIA flag will be flown by the National Park Service in public spaces where the National Park Service is responsible for the upkeep, maintenance, and operation of the flag and flagpole. One would think that makes sense.
That should make sense. And if they want to have a gay rally, they can line the streets with their gay pride flags. And when they're done, they can take their flags with. And Old Glory still stands on the pole. It's just that easy.
Because here, this was a point of the author of the article. This is blatant pandering designed to improve his approval numbers among Democratic voters to fend off a primary challenge from AOC. He's desperate to prove his left-wing bona fides, or bona fides, whichever way you want to pronounce it. And what better way than to wrap himself in the pride flag and portray Trump as the villain? And
pander for votes.
It's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. And that's what they're doing. Even this image right here just bothers me on a visceral level. It's
the fact that any flag is raised to the same height as the American flag. If it'd be a little lower, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But it is not to be at the same height as our flag.
Well, but even then, it's the fact that, again, this is the flag of basically what has become a political ideology.
Absolutely.
So why does this person's belief rate higher than that person's? Why, that's why the best thing to do, you limit it to this and that's it. Because like you said, the door's been opened. What's next?
But then they'll pick and choose. It can only be our causes, not your causes.
Anybody's flag can be flown as long as we approve it.
Yeah.
But the last article here, this is the one that was the Turning Point USA. So we have a left-wing activist that admitted during a public school board meeting, they reported a Turning Point USA chapter to Child Protective Services. The activist, identified as Nancy Krause, claimed that a December 2025 student event hosted by Turning Point raised concerns because it was marketed to high schoolers and allegedly limited attendance to students with supervision provided by volunteers rather than parents or guardians.
Now, can we take this a little off the rails?
Sure.
I don't know about down by you, but there's a lot of high schools who are allowing the kids to skip a day of school to go do anti-ICE protests.
Oh, yeah. Well, not so much down here, but yeah, I've seen that where they've just Yeah, there was one of the articles I had looked at putting up here was, I forget where it was, but the kids were like literally, how teenage boys get, boys in particular, the more of them you get in a group, the dumber the group gets.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they're just out there literally getting in fights with cops. And it's like because they have no adult supervision, they're being allowed to run rampant in a mob, an uncontrolled, unorganized group. And again, the more high school teenage boys you get together, the dumber they get.
Now, what happens when
it's physics.
Yeah, and what happens when your little Hayden, Waden, or Jaden goes to one of these rallies and something goes down and your little son or daughter doesn't come home?
Yeah. Your little aspiring rapper, or your aspiring college football player or NFL player or whatever, and the school let them out for it.
Yeah,
but we'll skip right here's her statement. We'll skip her statement for a second and come down here.
Yeah.
It said, the Gateway Pundit reported that a student who spoke before Krause said his group placed restrictions. Again, this is a student talking about the TPUSA event. His group placed restrictions on the event. The students placed the restrictions on the event after receiving hate online. This include barring access for adults they did not know or who were not volunteers or parents of attendees. He also revealed that all students who attended had parental permission. As of this writing, no action has been taken against Krause for her censorious move. So she is saying, I got all up in my Karen because they were not allowing but these unnamed volunteers and no parents. No, they were allowing parents, but only of attendees because of the hate that they had received online. And by confirming their concern of the hate that they had been receiving, this bitch right here filed a CPS referral.
Oh, good grief.
So this is her statement here. She says, event materials indicated that adults, including parents and legal guardians, were not permitted to attend and that supervision would be provided by unnamed volunteers. Excluding parents and guardians from a student-focused event creates a lack of transparency and undermines established best practices for youth safety. Well, we've already established she lied in that paragraph completely.
Yeah.
This is the good one. Students are widely recognized as a vulnerable population. They are in critical developmental stages and are especially susceptible to influence. For this reason, safeguarding measures, parental involvement, and transparency are essential.
If you brought up that same statement when they were having a cross-dresser read to your student in a school, they would have a thermal meltdown.
Well, Freedom just piped in. He said the assistant AG, Harmeet Dillon, launched a full investigation into this leftist woman. And that's exactly right. But Amen. Troy, and again, guys, I pulled Troy in at the last minute. He has seen none of these stories. My last story, Troy.
Oh boy.
Several Maryland school districts hide student gender transitions from parents.
Yay! Good grief.
Again, we'll go back and read it again. Students are widely recognized as a vulnerable population. Safeguarding measures, parental involvement, and transparency are essential. Hide student gender transition from parents.
Yeah.
Several Maryland school districts choose to keep parents in the dark. So again, like you said, Troy, it is what they want. If they didn't have if they didn't have conflicting standards, they wouldn't have any at all.
You're making me look like Nostradamus here. How did I?
Great minds, my friend. Great minds.
But their playbook it's starting to get predictable. If you can think of something batshit, they're thinking more batshit.
They're thinking, I'll take 2, please.
Oh,
yeah. So literally, I was sitting there reading that story, and I read that quote here, and I was like, wait a minute. And I went back, I scrolled back up. I was like, Maryland. I'm like, I think Virginia was the one that, maybe it was Maryland. I thought it was Virginia that had the one where the one assaulted the other one in the bathroom. But I'm like, you know what? Maryland's not far from Virginia. Let me just do a quick Google search. And sure enough, right here.
Wow.
Schools should not be required to inform parents of their child's change in gender identity. But for the children, we need parental involvement and transparency when it's convenient for us. It's absolutely disgusting. The children are being used as nothing but political fodder.
Absolutely.
They're being brainwashed, they're being wound up, and they're being pointed in a direction. And they do not know any better but to go in that direction. And social media does nothing but exacerbate the problem. And this is what we get.
Aye.
But yeah, reported the entire chapter to Child Protective Services because they were not allowed to insert their people into the meeting after the students restricted access because of, they said hate. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say threats that they received. And that's our week in a nutshell, my friend.
You got.
But yeah. Oh, freedom. A sadist or masochist. I can't say words right now. But yeah. With the people that are enjoy the pain and, like you said, the tax me harder, daddy, in New York and California. It's
just
it
masochists. Yes.
You really wonder if it is not a mental illness, but if it's a just guilt, just a I don't know. I just can't imagine a group that wants to inflict that much damage on themselves in their community for no reason. It's like, okay, you're damaging your community in this way to bring these individuals in. You're not bringing in people that are professionals. You're not bringing in people that are adding to the community, to the tax base. You're bringing in people that are a burden on the system, that are beneficiaries of the societal safety nets that we've established, but have never contributed to them.
Yeah.
You know, if there's somebody that has worked, 30 years, they get laid off, they go on unemployment, they get some social assistance. They paid into it. They deserve it. They've paid into the unemployment, system. They paid into everything. That's what the system's there for. It's not there to bring in entire communities that are completely unable to participate in the workforce or have no desire to participate in the workforce and just be a burden on that tax-paying population.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
break
and
up the
Freedom says
family unit. Yeah,
Freedom said they want to break up the family unit. Well, they're bringing in plenty of family units from everywhere else with the chain migration and bringing in grandma and great grandma and the uncle and great niece and everything else. But I take your point, Freedom. They absolutely are. It is getting rough out there, folks.
but I struggle with what is the end game of breaking up the family unit.
I think,
don't
and again,
know what the end game of destroying America truly is,
and
I struggle with that.
And I do too. I've never been great at chess. I can see a couple of moves. I can't play the game out in my head. And by breaking up the family unit, that puts more people in being susceptible to government handouts. So you get more people on the government dole because it's so hard. It's almost impossible to make it in a single family household.
At some point, the government can't pay for all these freebies anymore.
And
So
that's
where it is.
That's where it starts to break down for me is, and Matt will say, well, it's to break everything down to the lowest level, but it's like I don't see where the benefit comes from, where the power comes from. I just can't make that connection in my head.
Well, I have thought of it, and it's short-term gains. They do this to get elected, and they give two fucks about the future.
And I think that's why my ability to connect the dots breaks down is because you're absolutely correct. I think if they can, the more people they can get dependent on government subsidies, then the more votes they have built in. They know they're never going to get everybody. They don't need everybody. They just need 51%. Because they know you and I are going to continue to work because we have pride.
We know
we have a work ethic.
When you can't get 51%, you run the printers until you have 51%.
Well, there may be some shit coming out of Atlanta and Fulton County about that. Have you seen where the FBI is raided?
I have, but I don't ever see consequences coming out of that.
That's the big thing.
It's not going to roll back time.
No, it's not. And
Trump should have been done with his second term already. We can't roll back time.
And that is what's frustrating. But I do wonder if Trump having the Biden term in between his change the way he came in and the way he's governing and the way he's going about things.
And it is a little beneficial to Trump, too, that he didn't have to run his whole presidency through the COVID shenanigans of what it was.
Yeah.
It was really hard to get anything done during that.
Yeah. Well, Troy, that puts us at the end of the show, my friend. I appreciate you joining. I apologize for the less than late notice since you got the notice in chat.
That's okay. It's okay.
Well, it'll depend. I may, if you're up for it, I may send you an invite next week. I don't know what Matt's doing or not, if he's going to be available or not. So if you're available, normally I have the show set up an hour or so before. So you'll see an invite if you don't mind checking your mail before then.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining for the evening. Freedom, thank you for your input. And yes, I really hope this lady in Maryland gets her comeuppance for basically filing a false report to CPS. Troy, appreciate you joining. Thank you as always for
Thanks for
your refined insight to the topics of the day and your Nostradamus abilities in
Yeah.
predicting the next story.
Don't count on it in the future, but it happened today.
Take the win when you can get it, right?
Yeah, we'll do it.
All right. Thank you for joining, everyone. We're going to sign off. We'll see you next week. It might be Troy. It might be Matt. It might be both. We don't know. We're a little crazy like that. But we'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone.